The Carolina Panthers making it official on their social media channels. Baker Mayfield joins the team. And of course, that first game in week 1, Carolina versus Cleveland. And let's now welcome in NFL analyst and color commentator Charles Davis. Charles, I guess I'll just start by getting your reaction. Baker Mayfield, now a member of the Carolina Panthers.
Hey, Jeremy, first and foremost, look, this was a move we knew was coming, quote unquote. It's almost the Occam's razor thing. When everything else is going on, eliminate all the rest of it, and you come back to the simplest thing. Him going to Carolina, we've talked about for how many months now. It's finally happened. We knew Cleveland would kick in a good amount of money to make this thing happen, so someone was going to get him. I always thought Seattle was going to be a player here. I'm still somewhat puzzled that they're not. I thought he would be ideal there with Pete Carroll, but they have their reasons for not going there. We may find out about them later, but I'm not surprised at all. The only thing I'm really surprised about right now, Jeremy, was that great tweet by the Carolina Panthers staff there, the media relations staff and the support staff. But it had Baker still in a Browns uniform. Yeah. Nowadays, they can put you in the new uniform. I'm surprised he wasn't in a Panthers uniform when they sent the tweet out.
Yeah, they didn't get the Photoshop team on that as quickly as they should have. Charles, how much better are Carolina with Baker as their quarterback?
I think a lot of it depends on. I heard Bryant McFadden talking about it, and he's so right about it. You're expecting a healthy Christian McCaffrey, and we know that hasn't been reality the last couple of seasons, which is unfortunate because he's so terrific at what he does, but he has to be healthy in order to do it. All those touches and all those plays he can make, because we know he's a thousand guy on the ground and in the air. But when you put it together with the next thing is, it's a brand new offense coordinator in Ben McAdoo. He has to play to the strengths of Baker Mayfield, and the best season Baker had with Kevin Stefanski, heavy run, play action off of it, 2 to 3 tight ends on the field, able to utilize them down the middle and the seams, as well as getting it out to his wideouts. At that time, it was a healthy Odell Beckham. It was Jarvis Juice Landry. They have wideouts. That's not the issue. The tight ends have to come along now. Ian Thomas, Tommy Tremble, who they drafted last year. But I do like the fact that they've rebuilt the offensive line. They brought in a starter in Austin Corbett from the Los Angeles Rams. They brought in a starter from the Baltimore Ravens and Bradley Bozeman at center. Taylor Moton gets to stay at right tackle where he belongs. Brady Christensen out of BYU, a second-year guy, moves in at guard where they liked him best. He played tackle at BYU. And then, of course, you drafted Ike Ekwonu. Maybe the best tackle in the draft, depending on who you ask. He's one of the top 3. So all that together, but will Ben McAdoo play to the strengths of Mayfield? And that's running the football, play action off of it, and utilizing those tight ends. That remains to be seen.
Charles, what do you make of their, Carolina in that NFC South? I mean, Tampa Bay, obviously the favorites in that division, New Orleans Saints, then Carolina, the current odds sitting at plus 1,000, the Falcons at plus 3,000. I mean, when you look at this NFC South, what do you think about that outlook with Baker now joining the division?
Yeah, even with Baker joining the team, they're still battling for third with Atlanta to me. It's clear that Tampa and New Orleans, as we sit here right now, should be the favorites. Remember, a lot of people thought New Orleans was going to go into rebuild territory this year. When you look back at their draft and how they drafted and what they decided to do, they told the world, we don't believe we're in rebuild. We believe we're still chasing what everyone else is chasing. We think we're contenders. It doesn't matter who plays quarterback, although they think it'll be Jameis Winston. And that's why they drafted the way they did. And by the way, last 4 regular season games, they've beaten Tampa Bay 4 straight. So they don't think they're far off. Those are the top 2 teams in the division, Tampa and New Orleans. I do think battling for third is Atlanta and Carolina, but I do like them better with Mayfield at quarterback. He'll have that proverbial chip on his shoulder, Jeremy, which we all know with Baker. And I've teased him about this with him to his face. It's not a chip. It is the boulder that Sisyphus was pushing up the hill. But when he has that boulder, that's typically when he plays best. And one last little note for you. Rashard Hollywood Higgins has joined the receiving staff in Carolina. He was the adopted member of the Baker Mayfield and wife family in Cleveland. That'll help him acclimate as well pretty quickly, in addition to DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Terrace Marshall, all that crew. I like where he's going. This is good for him. This is good for Carolina. The only question is, what are they going to do with Sam Bradford? I mean, what's going to happen? Not Sam Bradford, but Sam Darnold.
Yeah, Sam
What are
Darnold.
they going to do with Sam Darnold now? Because that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
To have him still sitting there in Carolina with Baker coming to town. You drafted Matt Corral. PJ Walker is there as well. Is there any market for Sam Darnold? We'll find out.
Yeah, and that week 1 game, Carolina, Cleveland, in Carolina. I mean, Charles, it's a CBS game.
Yes.
Are you grabbing your popcorn?
There may be a few of us who sit on CBS crews that may be lobbying for that game. That may be saying, hey, we'd like to do that one. That one would be a lot of fun. Look, the only way Baker Mayfield doesn't start that game for Carolina, in my humble opinion, is if he's hurt. He's the new starting quarterback of the Carolina Panthers. I don't see a competition. I don't see them wondering whether he and Sam Darnold slug it out. It's Baker's team, and he gets to take on the Browns week 1, and that should be a whole lot of fun.
Charles, just talking about Cleveland for a second, I mean, the situation that they're in with Deshaun Watson, we don't know what's going to happen with him. It looks like right now it could be Jacoby Brissett, obviously waiting to see what happens with Deshaun. That might be the fire that lights the trade up for them to make a deal for somebody like, say, a Jimmy Garoppolo. But let's just say it is Jacoby Brissett. I mean, what is the Browns' outlook at this point for you?
Well, I think that for them, it all depends, Jeremy, on what we finally get in terms of decision of suspension, because it certainly feels like the league is pushing hard for a year, right? So let's say they win the case somehow and Deshaun Watson's out for a year. Now, if you're Cleveland, you're thinking differently, because I think they've got a good roster, but the quarterback position now is bereft because they made the move for Deshaun Watson, who won't play. But, Jeremy, if the decision comes back that it's a 6-game suspension, Jacoby Brissett can get you through those first 6. Get yourself ready for the next 11, right? And then you have Deshaun Watson. Somehow, if you can get out of there 3-3, you're feeling awfully good. And Jacoby Brissett has demonstrated an ability to do that. I just don't know that 17 gets you what you want in the NFC North. I mean, the AFC North. I just don't see how you can compete with Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh with Jacoby for 17. And I think that's where Cleveland is right now.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait and see on that. NFL analyst, color commentator for CBS, Charles Davis, joining us to discuss Baker Mayfield's trade to the Carolina Panthers. Thank you very much, Charles. Great to see you. Thanks for hopping on with us. They'll be talking about this certainly. Might be loading up the emergency pod, the Pick Six podcast, your daily NFL fix. Will Brinson and the Super Friends are breaking down all the latest stories, and you can bet they'll be talking about this at some point very, very soon, if not later today. Download and follow the Pick Six pod wherever you get your podcast audio. You can also watch on YouTube.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.